Last year, I reviewed over 100 websites for SEO. I want to show you the 3 most common mistakes that people made on their websites for SEO that was causing them a lot of sales, traffic, leads, and whatever else their website was intended to do. I'm going to show you how to identify if your website has the same errors, and if it does, how to fix them. My name's Nico. I'm an AI-powered SEO specialist. I'm the founder of Savity, an SEO agency, as well as the AI-powered SEO Masterclass, which is an online course teaching you all you need to know about how to rank your website with the power of artificial intelligence. Let's get started. Number 1, the most frequent error I saw on nearly 99% of the websites that I saw last year was website loading speed. You see, this is very important for 2 main particular reasons. One, the first one and the most obvious one is user experience. A slow loading website causes frustrated users, and I'm sure you've found yourself in that situation. And frustrated users, unfortunately, lead to very little sales or leads. The conversion rate of a website decreases substantially if the website is loading slow. And the second important component of loading time speed is SEO. Google actually identifies the loading time of a website as one of the main components for SEO. Now, you need to be very aware. The experience of browsing your own website is vastly different from somebody that's coming for the first time to your website. Why is this? Well, modern browsers, like the newest version of Chrome, Mozilla, Firefox, and all of these, more often than not, they save the regular websites that you browse onto your local drive. They do this with the intention of it being quicker to load the second time. Instead of requesting from the file from the server, they can just get the file from the local server so that your website loads a lot quicker. But when somebody is going onto your website for the first time, they need to locate all the files from the server, and this can be a vastly different experience. So, how can you tell if your website is actually loading slow? Well, thankfully, there are a number of free tools that you can use to check if your website is loading slow. When doing checks of your website loading speed, I always recommend you use 2 main tools. The reason for this is that if the results from each test vary a lot, then there might be some need for some further investigation. However, if both of these tests, and I'll show you which ones they are, show relatively similar data, then you can be assured that your website is either fast or slow. The first test is Page Speed Insights by Google, and don't worry, I'll have all of these links in the description below. So once you go to pagespeed.web.dev, you simply put the website that you want to analyze there and click the button Analyze. And after some time, it's going to give you a very, very in-depth analysis. The one thing you need to note is that it gives you 2 options, mobile and desktop. And that's an interesting component because the mobile experience can be very different from the desktop experience. And for the majority of people and industries, you really should be more focused on the mobile version of your website because nowadays people are browsing on the internet a lot more on their mobile devices than they are on the desktop. So you want to ensure a nice user experience on your mobile, one of those being loading time speed. But also, from an SEO perspective, you really should be worried about your mobile version of your website a lot more than your desktop. So I think since 2019 or even a little bit earlier, Google does something called mobile first indexing. So they actually take the mobile version of your website to index that and then attribute the right SEO components, so how good it's ranking from the mobile version of your website, not your desktop. So when we review this site, we can see that from a mobile perspective, it's loading 42 out of 100. This is speed, not what percentage of the website it's loading. And if we scroll down, it actually tells us why it's loading so slowly. And desktop, you see that it's a slightly different performance, but it's still fairly slow. You want to ideally be in the 90s or the high 80s. Now, there's another tool that you need to use, which I recommend, GT Metrics. It tends to be the industry standard when checking website loading time speed, but you want to use both to make sure that they're kind of telling you the right information, or the same information at least. Whilst that loads, we're going to go back to Page Speed Insights and see what's causing the low loading time, and we have a bunch of things here, and this is going to vary from website to website, so unfortunately I can't tell you how to fix all of the errors, but I can tell you the easiest error to fix, and that's the properly sized images. As you can see here, it tells me which one of the images are a bit too heavy, and you can see here that the file type is a PNG. Now, really, for the majority of things online, you really don't need PNG file types for images. What you want is a WebP file, which was developed by Google for a fast loading time speed. You can't even really tell the difference between a WebP file and a PNG file. So you want to make sure that it's a WebP, not a PNG file. Even a JPEG, you kind of want to stay away from that and go to WebP files. Now, before showing you how to optimize an image, I want to go back to the report of GTmetrix, which is the other tool to see how fast or slow your website is loading. And we can see here that we get a bit of a different report. So GTmetrix does all the way from A to F instead of 1 to 100 or 0 to 100. And this report isn't too bad. It's giving me a grade of B, but still there is the same kind of components. For example, here it says to properly size my images. And here, so it's detecting the same error. Whilst it's not giving it such a horrible grading as Google did, it's still telling me that, well, you still have image issues. So going back to PageSpeed Insights, we know which images we need to turn from PNGs into WebP files. Now, there are plenty of plugins that'll help you do this, but I'm going to do it kind of the semi-manual way. So no matter what website builder you have, you can still follow this. So we know the images. All we need to do is download them, and you can do that by clicking on this link. We're going to save the image as, and just save it somewhere on your desktop. There is a free online conversion tool called Convert.io. They give you about 10 conversions a day for free, which is more than enough. I'm going to simply drop the image that I just downloaded into here, and I'm going to make sure that I've got selected to WebP. You convert it, it'll take a little while, and you can download, and now I've converted my PNG file into a WebP file. Now, all I need to do is go back to the back end of my website and replace the PNG file of that same image with the WebP file of that image. It's really that simple. Now, really, the other errors that we see here, reducing JavaScript and minimizing the main thread work, will be all dependent on your website builder and more often than not, the hosting that you have. So you're gonna have to figure out those issues by yourself. Unfortunately, a really nice and easy way to try and get you on the right track is to simply copy and paste these errors in ChatGPT, and then you can kind of try and figure that out by yourself. But this isn't the tutorial for that. If you want me to go through each of the errors in another video, just leave it in the comments below. So that's error number 1, website loading time speed. And now you can see if your website is actually loading slow or not. The second most common mistake that I found last year when editing over 100 websites is a missing meta description. Now, let's understand what is a meta description first, and then I'll show you how to see if your website is missing the meta description or not. When we do a Google search, let's say, what is a meta description? In the search engine results page, the meta description refers to this little description here that summarizes the page content. Now, you need to think of this as a digital sales pitch. Why? Well, because the wording itself isn't going to affect your SEO per se, like your keywords that you put in there. But what it will affect drastically is the click-through rate from the search results page to your website. So, you want to keep these between 150 and 160 characters in length, and make sure to, if you can, add a nice little call to action at the end. You can do this in various ways. Go to the back end of your website, depending on the website builder that you have. But let's say I want to see this website that isn't mine and see if they have a meta description. I have a little plugin called SEO Meta in one click. You can download it from this link here. I'll leave it in the description below. But it's very nice and easy to use. It's this one here. And when I click it, it shows me the kind of metadata of this page. And I can see here that they've got the title tag, which is great, but they're missing the meta description. This is going to be really bad for their click-through rate. And the thing is that Google often creates the meta description for you, but most of the time it's not really enticing. The wording, it just takes a snippet and it gets cut off. So if you really want to be competitive, you need to create the right meta description. And you might be thinking, that's great, but I'm not an SEO expert. I don't know how to write a meta description. No problems, we have ChatGPT. So let me show you how to do this. I'm going to do this with ChatGPT 3.5, so this is accessible to everyone because not everyone has 4. What makes a good prompt is giving the ChatGPT a role, giving it some background, and defining the output. So we're going to do just that. We're going to give it the role, for this instance, to act like an SEO expert. We're going to give it some background. We're going to say, you are going to help me create a meta description for my website. I'm going to give you the contents of the page, and then define the output. Ensure that the meta description is between 150 and 160 characters in length and includes a call to action. We're then going to just do the dirty method of copying and pasting all of the content on that particular page, going back to the chat and copying it below the prompt. Now, there's a couple of things that you kind of keep in mind here. ChatGPT won't always get the character count correct. So here, it's a nice meta description, sorry, it kind of makes sense, but there is another tool that we can use to check how this is going to look. And that is called, to the web, the meta description length checker. We're going to go down and just put that here. And you can see that the meta description is a tiny bit too long. So we're going to go back to the same chat and say, can you make it 5% shorter? I find that when you give it percentages, it kind of tends to work a little bit better. I don't know why, that's just in my experience. We're going to copy this again and go back to our tester. That's still a little bit too long. I'm going to go another 5% shorter. That looks like it's going to be the right length. Perfect. That fits well within both the mobile version of the search results page and the desktop. So it gives you both here. So I'm happy with that. And now you would go into the back end of this site and upload your meta description. Where that is varies drastically between the website builder. So I'll leave that to you figure out, but this isn't part of this tutorial. The third most common mistake I found throughout nearly all the websites that I reviewed last year was the lack of internal backlinking. Now, internal backlinking refers to just that. You linking from one part of your section on your website to another page or section that's relevant to your website. And this does two main things. One, it really increases the user experience and the navigation of somebody on your website. Not only the users, but the web crawlers for the Google web crawl bot, but it also determines your website's authority or the page authority. If you have a bunch of blogs, let's say related to selling property or linking to a certain page, then Google kind of knows, okay, that's the most authoritative page within that topic. So it does a bunch of things. And the only way to see this really is, for example, we go into a blog and we see that there's no internal links anywhere, but I know that they're talking about things that you could internally link to other things. When I mean internally backlinking, let's go to someone that is doing this. If you're on their blog and you see that here, if I click on that, I'm going to go to another section on the website. That's it. That's how simple this thing should be. As long as it makes sense, the keyword that you're linking to another section of your website, you're internally linked. We can make this very complicated by really selecting only certain pages that we backlink to when we're talking about specific topics. But really, whenever you see yourself an opportunity when you're writing a blog or a new page that you can link to another blog or another section of your website, try to do so. This really improves your on-site SEO. Google really likes this. And that's it. Those are the 3 top mistakes that I saw throughout last year when I audited more than 100 websites from an SEO perspective. If this has been helpful, give me a like and a follow if you want. If you want to learn more about AI-powered SEO, go to the link in the description. It'll take you to this page where you can learn more about our masterclass. You get everything you need to know about AI-powered SEO, including all the prompts and templates that we use as an agency to rank all of our clients. You also get access to our private Facebook group, which we do monthly Q&As. And if you ask your questions there, I'll be able to reply to them and answer them a lot quicker because it's easier for us to keep an eye on those things right there. But if you don't want to do that, that's okay. Just keep watching these videos and you'll get very similar results as you would with the masterclass. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'd love to answer them. And if you have any other video ideas as well, let me know. Peace.